letting go changed my life, changed the way I think, changed my life.
Been very emotional.
All right, welcome back to the podcast. Today's guest is the grassiest man in the eastern suburbs, a delicate mix between light skin and dreamy eyes, the Romeo of our generation, Mr. Jordan Simi.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So deserved.
I am the Romeo.
Yeah, if that record button goes up one more time,
Yeah,
I think
fuck
it's you
it.
then.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
You want to
you.
hear it again?
You can see I'm talking shit. Oh.
Yeah, all right, so let's just
Get back into where we were.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it's nice. As I said, man, been good, bro. I've been really good taking these past like 6 months off, like content, and just been doing my own thing, chilling.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, nice. Has much changed since you left YKTR for yourself, or?
Well, like, it was hard, like, leaving YKTR. It was hard leaving YKTR because, like, obviously, like, all my best mates and stuff. But what happened is we didn't realize, like, grouse and a few reds, like, the opportunity that we actually had, like, in regards to the people like yourself, as you said, like, talking about mental health and putting ourselves out there. Like, Jacko and I were just two normal guys, you know, that just got a great opportunity. And like, we weren't professional athletes or anything like that. Like, I didn't even finish school. So I think for myself, I lost the reason. Like, I'd just come in and talk shit. Like, we weren't preparing for it properly. And like, I don't know about you guys, but like, podcasts can get very like repetitive. Unless you're not bringing on like new people to talk to, and I think that's just where we were. That inconsistency just was fucking up the flow. Like, the numbers were sort of like fluctuating, and since leaving YKTR, I think it was just like, it wasn't on good terms, but it wasn't on really bad terms. But it was a time for me to reflect, because it was very mutual. Like, Ice was over it. I wasn't really vibing with the boys upstairs. Like, wasn't getting along with Scope, wasn't getting along with Lukey. It was sort of like a divide in the office between like Jacko and I and Caleb versus the rest. So,
Has that all that now played out a bit different since leaving? Like, has the friendships come back together a bit more? Or?
One thing with me, like, if I'm friends with someone, like, it's pretty hard to like not be friends with me, because I'll just fucking call you up, message you like non-stop.
Oh, bro.
Like,
That's me.
I'm like, no, like Ice blocked me, and I'd message him off a different number. Nah, bro. Like, but I think it was just that time, like, the divide was so big that a lot of us, it was just like resentful. Like, it wasn't like a team environment. We weren't reposting each other's stuff. It was like, oh, my number's doing better than yours, and
so
things like that.
Competitive.
Yeah, it was. And it wasn't like, Scope and I used to do content together, but I think for me, it was, I just needed to leave the company,
to grow for yourself, kind of thing.
Well, just have some time off to reflect on like, my behaviour. But we'll get into that.
We'll get there. Yeah. So you're saying this is your first podcast back since finishing up?
Yeah, first poddy back. Been hit up to go on a few, but I think I wanted to have a break from like content and going on vlogs, and because you put yourself out there so much, and when you don't feel like it's actually, if you feel like you're reaching to be like someone else just for the sake of content, it's like, it's fucking draining. Like, you have to be this funny, like, crazy guy, and like I am pretty crazy, but I just felt like
it was a bit too much. That
was the persona that I put out there. So it was like, you always had to be that crazy, funny, like, willy-nilly guy making fuck ups, and it was starting to affect like my personal life, like relationships, like friendships, and it didn't feel like there was any longevity in it for me. Like, career wise, I'm like, can I see myself doing this, being this type of person forever? And I'm like, no, like, I'm 31 now. I'm like, I don't want to be this type of person. So for me, it was like stepping away to sort of just really get into my own,
find yourself,
find myself again, what I want to achieve, what I want to do in the future. And I just like, I did that, and sort my friendships out. Me, Normie and Chico were always sweet. It was just more so Ice, and Scope and I haven't really spoken much at all. Like, eventually we will, like, over time, but I think it's just
things like that will take a bit of time as
well.
Like it's a pretty.
Well,
big
everyone's
deal.
just busy, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Everyone's got, like, he's got a kid now, like,
Yeah.
everyone's just doing their own thing. It's not like we hate each other or anything.
Yeah.
It's just like, fuck,
just busy
like,
times.
we've got our lives, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So,
yeah.
yeah.
So what's some of your biggest realizations now, looking
Yeah.
back on your life?
Oh man, as I said, these 6 months have been like amazing for me in regards to, I've been able to sit with myself and have a look at like what I've done wrong within my life, my relationships,
Yep.
with friends, family, all that jazz, and I've realized that I've had the mentality of survive, more than thrive. So like it's always a short game for me.
Yeah.
Like it's always a short game. Like, how do I survive in this situation? Like how do I, just get by to survive? And I realized that there's no longevity in that. You can't create a life with a partner. You can't enjoy life with anyone like yourself. Money wise, it's always quick cash. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was no end game. It was more so just like, how do I go day to day?
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people like, but this was sort of just like, I'll do this for now because I need to.
Yeah.
So that was like a big realization for me over these past 6 months that I really wanted to change that aspect of my life.
Yeah.
Find a purpose. Another thing was, I had a tendency of, and this comes back to surviving, I had a tendency of like telling white lies, like nothing crazy, like nothing crazy, just like something like Ice would be like, oh, why are you late? And I'd be like, bus broke down.
Yeah.
Like, and I drove.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't catch the bus. Shit like that, bro. And one thing I realized that those little things just grew into bigger. Yeah, ripple effect. And it hurt a lot. Like it hurts like the people closest to you when you're telling like white lies and shit. Just just so there's no confrontation.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I wanted to be like that. It was just human nature for me.
Yeah.
Personally, to be like that because I didn't like confrontation.
Yeah.
And that was another realization. Another one was like blaming people for like my mishaps.
Yep.
Blaming situations from the past. Like, oh, I had a shitty childhood, man. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how to love. Like, I don't know how to like. Deep down, I understand. It's hard to understand things. It's hard to realize certain situations, but deep down, you really know what's good and bad.
Yeah.
It's just finding the process on how to get there, you know?
Yeah.
So it's easier for me to be like, oh, fuck this. I'm just going to throw a spanner in the works and let it play out how it's going to play out. Probably not good, but I'll deal with it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Now I'm just trying to slow down and, just be respectful to like certain processes in my life.
Yeah.
Just respect people that have helped me get where I am.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning that, so I still make stupid mistakes, but,
Yeah.
and I was saying that, telling us like probably about 8-9 weeks ago, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And the writing was on the wall for me, like my moods, a lot of like, I'm going to make up situations in my head that I believe that were true. Like even like dabbling with the idea of having CTE, forgetting things, anger spirits, like sadness, happy, like they were just like one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
So I finally, like during that 6 months, I was like, fuck, I'm gonna go get checked up, and it was a relief to know, like, to think, oh fuck, all right, it's like there is something wrong with me, like, but then there was also like a sad moment for me, because I looked at it and I thought to myself, how many people have I hurt along the way when deep down I knew something was wrong with me. Other people knew something was wrong. Something was going on. Sorry, not wrong with me, but people knew there was something mentally not straight with me at the time. And I just sort of like pushed those signs away. I was like, no, I'm just being negative. And it was a sad moment, because I was like, man, I've burnt so many good bridges that because of my own ego and of not, and I'm not saying everyone's bipolar or anything, but I just used all these things as like an excuse to just continue like living how I was living. But then there was that situation. Now I'm on medication now, man. I've been on medication, for about 9 weeks.
It's definitely, you feel like it's helping a lot more, like the calm down type of thing.
Yeah, and I'm not telling everyone to go get on medication because I know people are like, oh, it kills this and like does this and does that. For me personally, it has dulled down a lot of like creativity and like confidence.
Yeah.
But I think it's like over time you can grow that. Like you can grow that back. And like, I'm a confident person and I know that. But that's what it's dulled down. But in regards to the mood swings, certain situations that I was putting myself in, like, going out and just being like, I don't give a shit about tomorrow. Just all these things. Like I've just changed so much over the 8-week span that I'm happy that I'm doing this, but then I'm also like, fuck, I wish I did it sooner rather than later, because so many things in my life over the past 5 years, or my whole life, but over the past 5 years, I look back on and I go, fuck, maybe if I had gotten help a lot earlier, then, the situation would be totally different.
Yeah. It's like the thing that he's taught me is like people, like, because I used to hold my past against myself as well. Like all the things I've done in the past I wasn't proud of, and he's just like, that the stuff in the past doesn't define who you are now. It's what you do now to action all these different things that you're doing.
Yeah.
Is like to take the right actions of what you're doing. So
for sure.
That's what I reckon, for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. For you to be able to, not only come out and openly express that about your journey so far, but being able to put yourself in that environment, that's massive amount of power for you as well. Like to be able to say, you know what, I'm actually going to push my stuff to the side here and say, let me go have a look at this.
100%, man. And I honestly, like, I was scared what people would think of me. Like, I as I said, I was being someone that I wasn't really. In crowds and shit, I'm actually a pretty anxious person and stuff. People think that I'm trying to be rude or too cool, but I'm like, I'm like, fuck.
It's
so
like your ego kind of like putting those walls up.
Well, you see who I am on a podcast. And then, but people expect that type of energy when they see me, and I'm like, well, like people I don't know, and I'm like, oh fuck, like. So man, honestly, I thought to myself, over the past 6 months, like as I was telling Ice, I've created my own, I'm creating my own YKTR, sort of like, so it's called the Heart Gallery. And it's based around like creators, creativity, art, and like clothes, all that, like fashion, all that stuff. Pretty much exactly what we did here at YKTR, but sort of in my own vision, like how I want to do it, and with, a few friends of mine. So, that's one thing that I was like really trying to find during that 6 months. Like, what do I want to do? Do I want to go back to, work? Do I want to? And I was like, no, this is what I'm going to do. So that's finally like pretty much like 2-3 weeks. I'm going to launch that.
Nice.
Vlogging again. So that confidence is like slowly came back over the past 8 weeks. But So
that's good, man. Well done.
Excited for that project to launch.
Like
I'm excited, man. Yeah.
It's like you've laid the foundations here to be able to.
I just learned all these things and like, how to operate within the space. And I was looking at these situations. I'm like, this brand's hit me up. This brand's hit me up. This brand's hit me up. But what I realized is that as a creator, like if you're living a life where it's like dictated by like other people in regards to brands and stuff to make money, then you can't actually be like your authentic self.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because like if I go out and say, oh, like I'm bipolar, or like, I'm depressed, and, or like whatever, I'm an alcoholic, or like I was an alcoholic, or I did this, I did that, then you get judged by it. Yeah. So it's like, so I don't want to align myself with that type of person, or our brand is not, we don't like to have people like that a part of our brand. So that was another situation of like creating the Heart Gallery, is because it's like, it's real for me, it's authentic. Like I can get on there, I can, potentially most likely make money off like clothing and off the content, and say what I want to say and do what I want to do, without being judged by people that I'm going to potentially like, need money off to do collaborations with and shit.
Yeah. So is that kind of like with the apology video you had to do on that podcast? So that kind of comes down to that as well. It's like usually just speaking freely, just having fun on a podcast, and then it's kind of, it came back to get you this kind of thing, and then you just had to do like the full apology. And
well, what happened, that whole situation, the whole cancellation situation, you don't realize like how many people listen until you actually
do something like that. Yeah.
like well, you don't realize until you just realize, you know. And I've said this in the past, but it's like you can say, oh, it was a joke, or we were just speaking freely, or we were, you know, mates talking. But I feel like individually, as a human being, as a person, if you're saying certain things like that, of course there's going to be, you know, amongst mates you say weird shit and whatever. But I think as a leader, as a podcaster, as a person that like some people look up to, if you're putting out that type of message, if you're saying those type of things, especially like the majority of like your community are from that walk of life, then something's not right. You know what I mean? Like it's, well, not something's not right. That's just not right. So then I came in that day and it was one of those days where I was like, I don't give a fuck about anything. Like, and I didn't have the intentions to come on and say that exact same. But I came on with like, I didn't want to be the guy like, oh, I'm talking to chicks and blah, blah, blah. Like it was mostly, I came in with like such a bad negative attitude that I just, at that point in time, I did not give a shit what I said. And I'm happy it actually happened because
it's kind of like another realization.
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, I'm sad that it affected so many people, but I really like, I think about myself as a teenager. I think about myself as like a young adult, and I was picturing, like, not saying that I'm at this level, but I was picturing like one of my heroes saying that, like Sonny Bill saying that, and me hearing that, and then thinking like, fuck, that's pretty disgusting, you know?
Yeah.
And comedy or not, like, if it hurts one person, it hurts. And I know we live in a time where it's like very, like it's you're walking on a lot of eggshells. But when it comes to culture, when it comes to like your own culture, like there's no eggshells. You just don't say it. You know what I mean? So it was that certain situation that also opened my eyes up to like, fuck, if I can say something that's like negative and hurts people, and like I'm talking about like millions of people, like hundreds of thousands of comments, hundreds of thousands of DMs, like my phone like just blew up for like 3 months, and I was like, there's an opportunity to, you know, reach those people again, but maybe in a positive way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
change perspective of it all.
I think that'll be one thing that I'll have to work on for the rest of my life. And I'll rectify it in my own way. But yeah, those are one of those things you look back on and you go, fuck, like it sort of sticks with you for your whole life, you know? Because a lot of people back in New Zealand that I'm friends with sort of were like, nah, bro, like
that wasn't it.
That's not it. And then like, you know, All Blacks reached out to me like, you know, and then so like, because I fuck with a lot of them, and then they weren't like, oh, you're like, because they watched all my content, so they know that I'm like the crazy one and I say weird shit, but they were like, you know, they pulled me up on it, and they were like, you know, maybe you should come home soon, you know, kick it with us, and you know, just get back to your roots, because like when you're away from home for so long, man, you know what I mean, you sort of you don't, you know, over in Australia here, man, they're willy-nilly with what they say, so you know what I mean. So it was an experience that sucked, but it taught me so much. And it was dark times, bro. I didn't leave the house for a while because I just was sitting there, not like scared or anything. I was just like, it was just so regretful.
So that bring on a bit of like depression or anxiety and stuff like that as well, or
it was not so much anxiety. Well, actually, depression and anxiety. I would just be sitting there, and my phone would just non-stop. I had to turn off comments and stuff because it would just go, and like I'd get messages like death threats, and you know, family, like people unfollowing me, like that I was mates with, like people calling me out to fight, and I just felt like really alone. I felt alone. I was like, fuck, like, you dumb cunt. Like, why did you, sorry for my language. I was like, why would you say that? You know what I mean? But I think I was just getting too on my, like, not a high horse, but I think I was just fucking enjoying the smell of my own shit. You know what I mean? I was just like, whatever, I'll say whatever and get away with anything, and it just brought me straight back down to earth, which was cool, in a way. But yeah, that was also the 6 months as well that I wanted to just step away from it, because I was like, I needed to let that situation heal
Yeah.
as well.
Technically, yeah.
Yeah, because like we continued with grass and a few reds, but it didn't feel the same for me.
Yeah.
It felt like, oh, I don't want to say this. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to. So I was like,
yeah.
yeah, really closely.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of that, and I needed to just step away from it to cool the jets, you know.
Yeah.
I think that 6 months that you've taken off is, I've never seen you speak like this before. It's like different side of Simi that, like, I've been watching it for how many years now?
Yeah.
Like since 5-6 years. Like
journalism.
like since you started. It's like like a really powerful moment that you went through. A lot of stuff that you did deal with, but like whatever you sat with and processed with, and whatever you've gone through over the past 6 months, there's a different side of Simi that's coming out.
I think this will be the Simi that people want to see as well.
Yeah.
Like this new vulnerable side of like opening up and speaking up and
Mm.
speaking your mind and not being like worried about what you say.
Yeah.
Because it's not like you're coming from a negative place. It's just like when you're speaking, you're just trying to express yourself.
For sure. And I think as content creators, we have, if one person listens to you, if like fucking 5 people, like 1,000, whatever it may be, like there's still, as you said, like a ripple effect. Like whatever you do is then passed on to how like someone else carries themselves potentially.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I might listen to Sonny Bill talk about something, and then I go on like, that's how I want to hold myself.
Yeah.
Or, you know, and that's just my mentality now, and that's the reason why I wanted to start the Heart Gallery, is because I was like, I don't want to sugarcoat things, because I'm not an influencer, I'm not a professional athlete, I'm just a normal dude, and I want to be able to put myself out there, just because I know there's a lot of men that are in the same situation.
Yeah.
And everyone talks about like all these certain things, but I feel like I've just been like so lucky to have like YKTR as that foundation to build off. You know what I mean? And I get so many messages, like, you know, guys like, you know, man, like listen to your podcast. I try to commit suicide, and like, you know, all these certain things, and you're like, oh, you know, that's not my thing. But if you really like take that situation in, and it's a lot of pressure to like have, but I mean, if you're looking for something that you're passionate about, and it affects other people in a positive way, and like you're saving lives, and you know, you're inspiring people to step out of their comfort zone to do things, like then that's where I want to be. Like that's where I want to be. I don't want to be like this funny like fuck boy, like you know, I'm hooking it with this chick, I'm on this dating, like it's just not my shit anymore. Like it really never has been. Like I've always been like a weirdo, but I just felt like I just had to be someone to like fit in within this crew, and then also fit in
on that for sure.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I love like getting on the piss and, you know, being a bit crazy, but that's just, you know, that's not genuinely who I am, like, deep down, you know. So
I'll give you a little thing. The whole idea of me starting to get into mental health and like working on myself was listening to the podcast, like hearing you express the stuff that you were going through. And like, because I was in such a big ego, like I was a pretty toxic person, and then I stumbled across him and started doing mental health work with him, and
isn't it fucked? Like when you look back on it. But man, like exactly, bro, and like that's so special for me to hear. Like I'm like, that actually like makes me fucking like, I don't know, it's upset, like in a good way. Like it makes me sad. Like I'm so fucking proud of you guys, man. Like, honestly.
Thank you. Proud of you too, man. Like to hear from to watch you like on Spotify and YouTube and everything like that, and then to now finally meet you and then see this whole different side of you, man. It's just like
that was the biggest thing I was gonna say. It was like, like when we teed this up and you were like, yeah, man, I'm ready. I was like, nah, like there's some other bloke on this. This isn't him.
He's like, am I getting catfish?
This is a fucking catfish.
Honestly,
there's a camera popping out.
Like the day before you guys said that, bro, like the day before you messaged me, like as I said, like people would hit me up about the podcast, because like YKTR, and like, you know, what's your thoughts on this whole situation? And I just wasn't ready, bro. I was like, I'm not ready yet. And like literally the day before you messaged me, I was like, fuck, I reckon I'm gonna start going on podcasts again. I want to get back out there, and as I said, like I wanted the Heart Gallery to be sort of like ready to get underway. You know what I mean? Like because to have something for people to fall back onto. It's like I jump on a podcast and then it's like, fuck, where's he gone? You know, like that's where I want everything to be now.
Well, that's good, because we were in the car driving and we're like, what is he actually doing at the moment? Just I was like, I actually got no idea. I think he's just boxing and just kind of doing your social media stuff because always doing something.
Yeah, well, the social media stuff, man, for me was like, I was very grateful for it because like the money is fucking crazy, you know, like for what you can do for a post and a few stories. But one thing I started to realize is that like that was going so well because I was doing podcasting and creating content. So then this side of things was doing well, but then this side dropped down and then this started to slow down. And then it started to get to a point, you know, around Christmas and stuff, I was like stressed and like I've always been, my money management has been fucked. Like I'm just like, as I said, I was living week to week, like I'd get big paychecks, pay off everything, whatever. And then it just, I was just so immature in that, like in that regard. And then I was like, you know what? I need to start my own thing in my own vision, my own way, my own personality, and, you know, create a space like YKTR, but within like how I see it. So, yeah.
That's good, man. I'm like pretty excited for it.
That's gonna be wild.
See where it goes,
it's exciting, man. And I know there's a lot of companies out there that want to collab, not like that I know of, but I know that once you start putting yourself out there and you start creating content and you start diving into different spaces, like it's just the weirdest human beings come by and they're like, hey, like, do you need someone to invest in this, or we'd like to collab with you? When you know what I mean, like,
it's crazy,
like 2 years ago, I mean, even though I was like this wild kind of, you'd look at you know, working with the Bulldogs, fighting Justin Hodges, like interviewing Alex Volkanovski, like all these weird things.
Bro, that interview was fucking hilarious, eh?
Bro, like honestly, like I couldn't release the whole interview because it was fucked, but I look at it and I'm like, okay, like if there's actually some type of like game plan and structure to this, then what else is possible? You know what I mean? And that's like my whole mind frame for the Heart Gallery is like, I want kids and I want, you know, young adults and even guys, like I'm 31, like guys my age and stuff, to think like it's possible to just get after it. You know what I mean? Like not like 3 years ago I was sleeping on Normie's couch, you know what I mean? Like, and then fighting Justin Hodges, I'm like, what? Like it's just because it's just, you just take one step after the other. And I was saying to Ice, it's like, it's focusing on the process. Like I always say chopping wood, carrying water, like it's just the process, the small things. You do those things well. The only difference is now I stay true to myself. I don't do it as, you know, this fucking
it's like
different
your whole
person.
perspective of it's changed the way you do
massively.
things now.
Yeah.
No, that's good, bro.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's so calm, mate.
No, you're even like how you said, like how you're going to impact people, like it's, and you were just sleeping on Normie's couch like 2-3 years ago, same as us. Like we wrote your name down being like, yeah man, we're going to get Simi on our podcast 6 months ago. We wrote it down, we're like, no, it's never going to happen, but we'll write it down anyway. We're going to aspire to it. And now we're driving down to Sydney, like I've been watching these out here for like 6-7 years or something, however long. I'm just like walking through, sitting here doing a podcast with you. Like it's one of those moments where like, you can reflect on the journey that you've been on, same as you, and then you can be like, holy fuck, like look where I am now. Same for people around us.
Well, I'm 31 this year. And like a year ago, bro, my life was like, I didn't know who I was. I was in like, just didn't know what was going on in my life. And then like looking at like this, since now till a year ago, like my whole life has flipped upside down, man. Like so much has changed. And like you're saying, opportunities, like with us, we just started doing like these reconnection days that we do, and then it's just slowly got bigger and bigger, and then more stuff starting to happen. We go to, people invite us to their gyms, people invite us to Queensland, like wherever. It's just like much stuff just keeps happening. And I'm just like pinch me moments, like you were saying today, and I was like, this is like the biggest pinch me moment.
Like no, man, honestly, I'm so grateful. Like I'm really grateful to hear that, bro, because it's special to me, man. It's special to me that, because you always, like, when you put content out there, you're like, fuck, I wonder if like this is going anywhere, like is this gonna help anyone in a negative or positive way, you know? Like, and as I said, that's what was lost in Grass and a Few Reds. It was just like, oh fuck, we need to do a podcast. There wasn't actually like, there was no why, there was no purpose, like at towards the end. And I feel like a lot of people could feel that. They're like, fuck, they're saying the same shit over and over again. So I really appreciate that, man. Honestly, it's crazy to hear that. And yeah, it's crazy. Like, it's actually insane to hear that number.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, like we were saying on the drive down, it's like, I wonder if, and you just answered the question, I wonder if Simi knows like the impact that he does have, like, like up our way, Newcastle, like.
Bro, the amount of people
Like,
that have messaged me about coming up here, that they're like, man, he's so good. Like, even chicks, a lot of chicks reached out to me and were just like, oh, he's so good. Like, we love watching him and stuff. And I was like, I got more attraction from girls than the dudes. Like, they were like so excited, like they were all coming to meet you and stuff. And I was just like, good luck, have fun. Like,
So from two boys up in Newcastle, trust me, the impact that you're having is
Thank you,
wild.
man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I remember going up to Newcastle. We went to this pub and...
Oh, I saw that post, bro, and you're like, what is this place? And I was like, you went to the wrong place, that's why.
Man, I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is... But it ended up being a wild night, eh?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like... It's such a shock for me because it happened it happened quickly, man. Like, it sort of started when we went to Byron Bay during, like, around COVID time. Like, we went up to Byron, all of us. And I remember like just going around, people like, yo, like wearing my t-shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
And I wish that I had the mentality that I do now, because at the time I was sort of like, it wasn't grateful. It was more so like, oh, why? Like, why do they wear my shit? Like, why are they, there was no reason behind what I was doing. It was like, I just wanted to be, you know, this crazy guy putting out content. And it's just like that typical story. But I mean, like, even when we went up to Magic Round last year, that was like, we filled up this whole pub, and it was wild, bro. And like, we were chucking out hoodies and stuff, and
the speech in the car, that was probably the best. That was so funny, bro.
Yeah, that was genuine. Like, I was like, don't get me wrong when I say like, I'm on my eat, pray, love shit, but I'm like, I still love getting on the piss. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm still a rat bag at heart, but the 6 months was finding my purpose, and even like taking these the medication and all these things. Like, I look back on it, and as you can see, like, my ex was just outside, and you know, that whole situation, like, the bridges burn, even like with ice. Like, I had to, like, you have to step back and just somehow find a way to, like, not blame others. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because it starts with somewhere. It's either like you let a certain behavior in come in from them, and then you've like finally stuck up for yourself, and then they're like fuck you, or they've let you get away with shit for too. You know what I mean? Like, anyone in general, they've let you get away with something for too long. That shit's just hit the fan. You know. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, I guess that something like that is like, I've been through similar things like that as well, and it's like, accept what you've done. And then either move on and walk away from it and just be happy with how you've left it. Yeah. Just like, just try to move on as best as you can from any situation like that.
100%.
Because it's like, you got to put yourself first.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm starting to see now, like 2023. Like, you're seeing a lot of people now finally starting to step forward and do things right for themselves, you know?
Yeah. And I've said this to the boys, like, you can't inspire and help people, like, unless your cup's like somewhat full.
Yeah.
Because like you're filling up everyone else's cup. And then it just gets to a point where you've like I said with YKTR, everyone else is killing it, and he just got to a point like everyone's gone now. He's like, fuck, I haven't filled up my own cup. So it's like you have to make sure you're constantly like having your boundaries set and put in place to protect yourself. So you're not burning out. And I realized that over my break was just like, I need to find my reasoning. I need to find my passion. I need to have respect for myself. I need to have respect for my friends and family around me. So it was crazy. It was great. It was a fucking crazy 6 months. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
do you think it's been one of the best 6 months of your life? Like, to try and sort of now like have that time away from everything and just find who you are. And
I was scared, man. Like, I was scared. To be honest with you, like, I got like pretty suicidal at one stage. Like, I didn't leave the house for about 8 days. Just stayed indoors. I just sat on the couch for 8 days. I just ordered Uber Eats. Like I sat. I was so upset with like who
you put out.
Who I'd become. Honestly, I look back on my past 5 years, and I really was just like, fuck, I I have just been so inconsistent and so, what's the word, like selfish
Yep.
within like my circles and my friends and my family, and like and I've burnt so many bridges, and luckily like they're slowly being rebuilt. But that was the reason why I started this project that I'm working on, is because I do want to rebuild those bridges. Like I do want to make amends for like love lost with people, whether it be friends or family, loved ones, and all that shit. So yeah,
I definitely feel like you're on the right track to be doing that for sure. Like,
it's going to be a long journey. I think it will happen quickly.
Yeah.
I think I will be able to make amends for a lot of bad decisions that I've made over my life. But I think where I need to make sure I don't lose myself is like when I finally get there. I've got a tendency of like chucking a spanner in the works, because I'm like, oh, I'm not used to this. Like I'm not used to everything being good. I'm not used to people like not hating on me or shit like that.
Sort of expecting the worst as well. Like just waiting for it.
Yeah,
it's just like things are going great, but also have that like little thing beside you being like, just wait.
And I've always had this like fuck it mentality. Like when anything or confrontation, I'm like, oh, I don't give a fuck. Like fuck you.
Yeah.
And it's just ruined my life. Like it's actually ruined my life to a point of like, as I said, like just surviving, not thriving. And that's the main thing. Like I want it to have longevity. I don't want it to just be short-lived. And that's what I realized with Grouse and a Few Reds.
Yeah.
It's like here today, gone tomorrow,
Yeah.
Like if you're not creating something that
is
like a book, bro, a book is forever, you know what I mean? Like, and we live in a space of like digital creators, things are just happening.
Yeah.
My mentality now is to create things that
long lasting
will last for a long time and have meaning for a long time.
Yeah. No,
Well, if you're in that headspace of that project that you're working on,
that's
that's
going to be
showing
fucking
your purpose
Grouse.
is like starting to like really come through now.
Yeah.
So is it have you already got a space and that set up ready to go? Or?
No. Like literally, like all my friends around me, thank God, like they're all in that creative space. Like one of my friends is like a massive web designer.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Like whipped up my website.
Yeah.
Like it was nothing.
Yeah.
I've got like people in the fashion space that design clothes and like have access to designing one-off pieces that I'd create. Like, cause I'll be doing that as well. I'll just be creating one-off pieces.
Yeah.
And selling them on the site.
Yep.
The gallery is also going to be a place for other artists and other designers to put their clothes and art on, so then they can also sell like via the website. So I feel like I bring eyes to a certain point. So I'm like, why wouldn't I share that with other creators?
Yeah. Sure.
Put other people on and then also sell merch and my own clothes that I design over time. So have the podcast there, the vlogs, all that jazz.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Are you gonna bring back Grass and Few Reds, you think, or?
Nah, it's just going to be the Heart Gallery. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I won't bring back Grouse and a Few Reds. I was like, what the fuck were we thinking? Calling it this.
Yeah.
My Sammy actually came up with the name.
Really?
Yeah, she actually came up with the name. So I was like, why did we call it Grouse and a Few Reds? It's because we were just fucking on the grouse drinking Reds.
I was going to on the Reds. Yeah, makes sense.
But yeah. So
yeah. So back before you said about being an announcer for the Bulldogs, were you getting anything like that again, or?
Potentially, man. I think it just comes with like filling this cup up. Like if you're not putting out content, then like brands and teams aren't fucking with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
One guy that like really inspires me is Olin Tekers.
Yeah,
He's just like bang, bang, bang. Something comes out. Oh, like Jason Tomalolo just knocks out Wade Egan. Like he's straight on it.
Yeah.
Oh my days, like this guy, like you know what I mean? Like content straight away. Like maths, Married at First Sight, content straight away. And if you're bringing in the views, like I know some of the money that he's made over the past few months, and it's been fucking crazy. If you're bringing in the views and you're bringing in, and his content, one thing that helped me change my mentality for where I wanted to be was his content isn't, oh fuck yeah, it's not degrading. It's not like you're not degrading yourself. You're not being someone you're not.
Yeah.
It's just nice, pure, clean content that people can relate to, that people can have a laugh about. And he's not putting himself in harm's way mentally because he doesn't feel like he's himself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And it's
for
just
sure.
clean. So that's where I'm working on being. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just bro, just getting after it again. I can't like I genuinely can't wait just to put out my first podcast, talk to guests again, and just vibe, bro. You know?
Yeah.
Because it's like fuck, it's amazing.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah, that's I can't wait for you to bring out this version of Simi too.
Yeah, bro.
in your own
It's exciting.
content way as
Yeah.
well. Like,
Yeah,
it's gonna be a different
yeah.
path, but I reckon it'll be unreal. I reckon it's gonna go,
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. Oh, bro, I hope so. I fucking hope so.
Yeah.
I reckon
People are like,
Hearing
whoa,
the
whoa,
way you
skull a
talk
bear.
about
Skull a
Yeah,
bear and
people
do
are like,
something
"No,
funny.
it's not
Yeah.
Yeah, go back. What are you
That's
doing?
what-
This
It's
isn't
funny, bro. I went to a Bucks party last weekend or 2 weekends ago, and all the boys are just like, "Oh, I didn't even think you were gonna drink," and I was just like, "Oh, I'm still party, bro."
Yeah. It's exactly, and it's like, the message that I was putting out wasn't the message that I was living. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, man, we got to do this, we got to do that, and then I'd go missing for 2 days. You know what I mean? Like it.
Yeah.
And oh man, like I look back and I'm like, fuck. It really is sad the people that I've hurt along the way, just from like the stupidest things.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah. Well, I think the way you're handling yourself now and holding yourself accountable and the steps you're going to take to move forward, I think that'll
it's
be
exciting,
a whole
bro.
different person, and I
Thank
think
you.
they will judge you on that, not from what you used to be. So,
well, hopefully.
yeah,
No, I definitely, like I said, I've watched you for years, and it's like, this side of you is like, it's definitely refreshing 100%, but I don't think many people have seen this side.
No.
Obviously people that are close to you would have seen it, but
Yeah.
coming down here and seeing this is sick.
Yeah, well, I was like trying to poke the bear, and I just honestly, I'm telling you, man, the medication that I'm on is just it's brought a lot of clarity.
Yep.
And as I said, don't get me wrong, I can still fucking go left, but
Yep.
it's just brought me a lot more.
base level.
Yeah. It's sort of just it's made me think
Of
the negatives and
consequences,
what's
Yeah.
going to happen.
Yeah.
What's the outcome, and then going, okay, that's probably not the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Where I would just go, oh, the boys were like, hey, let's go get on the piss.
Yeah.
And I would not second guess it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clothes are ready already. I'm at the door.
Yeah. I'm already here. I'm
I'm
here.
at the front waiting.
We're getting a bit more heartline stuff.
Go for it.
So talk a little bit more about boxing. So like what you got coming up and what it's done for you since starting boxing.
Yeah. So, man, I was actually funny story. So, boxing came about. I was doing some stuff with No Limit, like from a media point of view, and yeah, I was actually fucking partying when I messaged Georgie Rose because he put up like Justin Hodges wanted to fight again.
Yeah.
And I go, yeah, I'll fight him. And then, man, I was blind. He's like, yeah, do you want to fight him? And I was like, fuck. I was like, yeah, I'll fight him. And then the next day he's like, yeah, sweet. Like, here's the contract, blah, blah, blah. Like, and it was like probably like 2 weeks out before the fight. So I had to get like drug tested. I had to
Everything.
do like it was a professional boxing fight.
Yeah.
I'm rated number 52 heavyweight boxer in Australia. So stay in there. Stay in there, kids. Nah.
Keep fun, baby.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck, I feel bad for some of the other guys I've been fighting for years, hey. But yeah, so he hits me up, get all these, like literally I got my paperwork okay the day of the fight. But I like the whole boxing experience, I look back on it and I'm like, cringe. Like I wanted to go on there and I didn't explain it properly. Like I really wanted to go on there and just tell Sammy like, hey, I love you so much. Like, I wanted her to see that I'd stuck to something that I said I was going to do.
Yeah.
But when I was telling her, it wasn't actually like, it was like 50-50.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to box, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. She's like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like, you've been saying this for ages. Anyways, it was like one of those things for me, like, am I ready to get in the ring? Like, nah. Like, but do I have to? I'm like, yeah, I have to. Because it was like, when are you else going to get the opportunity to fight Justin Hodges? So, but then when I was in the, and this is another one of the bridges, Brent. I was in the Bondi Boxing Club. I met so many dedicated fighters, and just calm people. They were very calm, but could like knock you out with one punch. But they're all calm and dedicated to like training and that lifestyle.
Yep.
And it was like either one or the other. And I remember I got on the piss a few times like before the fight, and they were like, "What the fuck are you doing? Like, this is our like bread and butter, and like you've got an opportunity of a lifetime, and you know, you're mistreating it. And I was like, oh, whatever, like, this is just me, like, whatever. And it was disrespectful to the club, disrespectful to the fighters. A lot of them were off me, and like, thankfully they've taken me back in. It's still a long way to go, but like, now I've been boxing for 3 weeks, and it's not like, oh yeah, like, I'm going to knock people out and all that jazz, and I want to fight. And it's more so the process, as I said, like,
and the discipline it'll probably bring as well.
Yeah, you go in there. It's great being around people that you know could fuck you up within seconds. And they don't. You know, you train with them, you spar with them. They're taking it easy, and that's like an ego check for them. Like, they could easily just come in there and then beat me up. But with boxing, you can actually take a lot of what you learn from boxing into into just your day to day. You know, respecting others, thinking about certain situations. Like, I know it sounds like weird, but it's like, you know, should I throw this punch, or should I, you know, do I defend myself, or like keep moving? And you know what I mean? Push through. Like, so you can take a lot of things you learn in the ring and like and a boxing club and bring it into life. You know what I mean? And also with myself, with Bondi Boxing, there's a lot of people there that have great personalities, a great backstory. They're amazing boxers, but that content side of things, people like really nervous to put out. Like, why would I put out content if no one's going to listen to me? No one's going to. So it's like they're teaching me stuff, I'm teaching them stuff, and it's going to get bigger. But it's as I said, those are one of those bridges that I've burnt, and that I'm trying to think. But boxing, you can take into like all aspects of life, not just training. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I was doing a bit of jiu-jitsu for a bit because he's my cousin still.
Same thing, right? Yeah.
It's the same thing, man. They're all so like gangster, man. Like the shit they do on the mat.
Snap their fingers and it's game over.
Bro, like, and they're so calm.
It's fucked.
It's like it's a good way to learn how to control your anger as well.
Oh, for sure.
That's what I got out of it too, because I used to be a bit of an angry person, and like you get fucked up by. I got fucked up by a chick.
Yeah.
And she just, like, I was standing there rolling. I was like, I'm gonna fuck her up. She literally climbed up my body and just dropped me. And I was like, what just happened? So it's like definitely a good way to learn, like, to get your ego checked, and also to control your anger, and then that, like, when you can bring that in everyday life as well. It's It's huge.
For sure, man. Like, that anger aspect. Same here, man. Same as me. Like, I blow up, but it's just you second guess everything. Like, all the negatives, you second guess. Like, what is this going to do to me? Like, if I do this, what's the outcome? You know, and I think the longer I go, the more I learn day to day. Like, you know, it's all about the process, bro. No matter what, it's like the process, day to day process. Like,
trust the process.
Yeah. Do you think it's more of like the biggest takeaway is like you're not focusing on the destination? It's more that process of what I do on this daily basis is going to get me to that destination one way or the other.
And that's only recently come as well. Like that's only come in like the past 3 or 4 weeks that I've like, because everyone's like, who are you fighting? Who are you fighting? Who are you fighting? And like at the moment, like I'm just fighting myself. I'm fighting myself to like get out of bed every morning. I'm fighting myself to like take my medication. I'm fighting myself. Like I fucking hear voices in my head like, man, you don't need the medication anymore. Like you're sweet. I'm fighting myself to, you know, go out and get on the piss. So I'm like, that's who I'm fighting. So at the end of the day, if I focus on like, you know, chopping wood, you know, carrying water, like then eventually, when I do get to the destination of fighting whoever I'm going to fight, it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Because you've done all the little things right.
You've laid the foundations correctly.
Laid the foundations like and like that's always like in hindsight, I've always worried about the destination. Like fighting Hodges, didn't train. Like knew something was coming up, didn't train. Like Bulldogs thing, didn't read the scripts. Like just made it up on the spot. Like so it was like I was winging. I've been winging everything my whole life. Like literally winging everything my whole life. Like fake it till you make it. But it just gets to a certain point where it's like you can't do that anymore. Like I'd get to like the top jobs in my company. Just basically I'm faking it till you make it. And this is just the mentality I've had since I was a child to like survive. Because I was homeless as well. I was homeless like when I went over to Perth. Like I was abandoned over there. Like homeless as a teenager, and I just didn't have anyone guiding me through all these situations in life. So my thing was just like fake it till you make it. But I'd get these amazing jobs, amazing opportunities, being put into life-changing situations, and I just would not know what to do.
Yeah.
And I would just give up or fuck it up.
Yeah.
So that's like a big part of my life now is like, all right, this is where I want to go. I'm going to focus on the process. Like instead of like, oh, I'm going to fight some guy in like 2 months. I'm like, fuck that. I'm just going to focus on being ready if something comes up in 2 months, focusing on those small things, and the rest will work itself out. You know 100%. What I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm fucking, I just want to fight tomorrow. No.
No. Well, before we wrap it all up, I've got a few questions here from a few people.
Sure.
Seeing if you wanted to get real open up and stuff. One of the female friends of mine has asked, how come you and Sammy broke up?
How come Sammy and I broke up? I'll talk about it. Like I've spoken about it before, but Sammy for me, like after what I've just told you guys, when you're with a partner who she's the most hardest working person, like a lot of people think she's just an influencer, but as I told you, like she has an office upstairs. She's got like 8 or 9 staff. She's like, when I think about it, like we'd wake up in the morning, she's off to the gym, and she's home, gets changed, pick up the dogs, go to the office, in the office before like around 8:30, finishes at like 5 to 6, 7 o'clock, go to an event, and she's juggling.
Always moving,
She's always moving, juggling 2 businesses, and like for me, I wasn't, as I said, like my cup wasn't full. Like not because of her, but because of my decisions in life that I, as I said, like faking it till you make it, like not being consistent at work, like making bad decisions. And I know like the bipolar thing had a big, was a big part of like why these things were happening, but it wasn't it's not the main thing. You can't really just blame something, but it had a big part to play in all of this. But a lot of the time, like my mental state wasn't good. And I was really sad and depressed about certain things in my life and when you're in a relationship with someone who's like a go-getter and stuff like that, when it starts to affect them in a negative way, and then you just have to pull the plug. And God bless her, man. She stuck with me through thick and thin. A lot of people like would be like, oh, you know, like Simi's crazy, this and that. And she'd have my back always, you know what I mean? So Sammy taught me a lot about family. She's got a beautiful family. And they're like a family, you know, and I've never experienced that before. I've never been, and it used to, it would weird me out a little bit. Not her family, but just a family in general. I was like, what? Like you're gonna go see your family on the weekend? Like it just was so foreign to me that. So she taught me about that. She taught me about, you know, just not taught me, but pros and cons of things. Like, as I said, I was a fuck it person. She taught me about that. Love. She gave me like unconditional love. But it got to a point where like you can lead a horse to water, but you have to like walk away if nothing's changing. You know what I mean? And I was trying my best, but I'd fall back into bad situations, and you know, who knows what the future holds. Like as I said, with like this medication that I'm on, it's changed my life completely. And I don't like bug her anymore, or like, you know, like I want her to be happy.
She's bugging you now, bro.
Man, leave me alone, man. Don't do that. No, I think it's like, the quote goes like, you know, if you love a flower, let it grow, and sure. You know, like, because if you pick it, it changes what you fell in love with. So it's just like I've just got to let her be, fill my cup up, so I'm not stressed out about finances and you know all this jazz. So we're still friends. We talk here and there. We catch up here and there. But it's just like I've just need to focus on the heart gallery. And making this fucking bread, you know what I mean? Like I'm literally like, I'm not dating no one. Not hooking up with no one. Just not putting myself out there. I'm just fucking focused on mentals and the bread.
That's good, bro.
You know, and making amends for how I've burnt bridges in the past, as I said.
That's good.
But
like that.
There was no cheating. a lot of people are like, oh man, he must have cheated. Like,
Yeah.
nah, like when you date someone with such a high profile, like, yeah, everyone knows her. So it's like you're literally watched anywhere you go, everywhere you go.
Right, you look it up. You can't cheat. It's just too good.
Well,
Yeah.
exactly,
No one's
exactly.
better.
And as
Yeah.
I said, like I owe her a lot personally, mentally. Like, so for me, I would never cheat on her. It was just party boy vibes, man. And she's like, she's a hard worker. So it's like, she don't fuck with that shit.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, it kind of comes into the next question. This is from a guy named Ant. He said, do you find punching above your weight difficult? Hashtag Grassel.
Man, honestly, it just sits into the story of Shrek and Fiona. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Shrek believes he's that guy. Like he doesn't think he's like, you know what I mean? He just gets after it. He goes and saves the princess. So that's just my mentality, man. You know, like I'm
stealing it.
I'm Shrek. You know, I'm the bee's knees, man. No, man. I get this question all the time, but I'll tell. So it's hard to explain, man. But Sammy and I, like, well, I feel. I don't know if she somewhat does. Like, there's just a connection there. Like, you know. But I don't know. I honestly I don't know how I do it either. I'm like,
fuck, you're gonna go back home and that's all I'm gonna hear now.
Oh,
just like, I'm Shrek, bro.
I'm Shrek, man.
Vibes, baby.
Man,
I
look
say
at
to him all
you.
the time. I get a few DMs and I'm just like, how is this happening? Like, who even is this person? And he's just like from a whole different state. And I was like, just look it up.
Yeah, bro.
It's crazy.
It's like, yeah, it's just that Shrek mentality, man. Fuck, you know.
Shrek, that's
Name of the potty, baby. Shrek
add
mentality.
that to me bio. Like. All right, last question. This is from a guy. He wants to stay anonymous, but it's just got out of a breakup. How do I better myself and how do I heal? Like, some tips in that for him.
Fuck, stay off the piss.
Yeah.
Don't sleep around. Don't talk to other girls. Focus on training.
Yeah.
Focus on family. That's about it, really. I just think that if you focus on those things, you either meet someone new or like you'll do something new. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like necessarily you don't need someone else, but it's like
you need yourself.
when you tick all those boxes consistently over time, I feel like it just happens. You know. So, and just have a look. Like, why did they break up? You know, like what could you have done better? What could she have done better? Like, was your communication off? Was your emotions on or off? Like, you know, did you make her feel special? You know, did you feel like she made you feel special?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of people, when they get broken up with, they think, fuck, this must have been something I did. But you got to reflect on it all before you can.
Yeah, and a lot of people now, well, a lot of men, I used to do it back in the day. It was just like go out and drink, party, find someone else.
Yeah, fuck
and that's how you get through it. And then it wasn't until the last breakup I went through where I was like, you just like sit in silence.
Yeah.
Do a pros and cons on yourself and on the relationship and work on the things that are in the cons, you know, like try and better yourself. Like, don't think you have to go out and do all these different things to try and be better. Like,
just
start
day to day.
reconnect to yourself, and then that's where everything, it's just a slow process. Like, it gets pretty lonely. Like,
oh, mate, trust me, time, bro. Fuck, I just spend nights on the couch. I still do now. Like, still do now. I'm like, I think about her a lot, you know, like, and then that's what boxing, as I said, like you reflect on the pros and cons, and you focus on the cons, like what you could have done better, and like what type of man you were. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're not escaping anymore either.
No.
Like when you're on that piss, it's like the main reason why we jump on the piss is so we don't have to feel what we're feeling. But
for sure,
you know,
it's a sad thing, man. It's sad, bro. Like I'm the perfect example of just go get on the piss for 2 days and then
come
you know
home,
what I mean? Face the music. It's like how do we change that? You know, like even some men who do it, they don't even know they do it until it's too late, and then they're like, 100%. Fuck, it's too late.
Yeah.
You know, so. Fuck, it's one of those chats that probably will never be answered, you know.
No,
what I mean?
like, definitely not.
Because you know, most likely I'm gonna go get on the piss tomorrow night and do the same thing.
Same as us.
You just see me on the story like, woo!
Probably tonight. It was funny.
Bro.
I was getting dressed to come up here.
Like, fuck, I might come back and go to the pub.
I looked like I was going to Could you Pav? A few people were like, "Where are you going?" I was like, "Still podcast." Like, are you sure that's where
He's
you're going?
talking like silk pants.
I had like
fucking
silk
white
cream
beater.
pants, white beater on, cream pants shirt over. out of 12. I was
Should have.
Could you? Here we go.
Bro, straight up. Yeah, no, like, I mean, it all goes back down to, and this is what I'm still deep in, like, situations where I'm fucking go get on the piss and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying like I'm perfect right now. Like I'm fighting for it. But I think when you look at the bigger picture and you're like, fuck, okay, like what do I need to do to stop these situations from happening? Mine is literally stay off the piss.
Yeah.
You know, and that's like most men, you know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
And once you start to do that, it starts to work itself out. But yeah, as I said, man, I'm a sucker for like Friday RV beers, you know.
Oh, especially when the sun's out.
Especially
bro.
like
Cold
when you're just
schooner.
sitting at home alone, you're like, fuck, she's probably out. You know what I mean? The cons hurt. Yeah. Hey, what are you up to? Fuck off. All right, fuck this, I'm going out.
Either way you're going out, if she says fuck off, or
Yeah,
I'm out, you're going.
this is your fault. This is your fault. Like, start gaslighting and all that shit. But yeah, man, I'm excited for what the future holds, man, and like I'm so grateful for you guys having me on your podcast, and I'm happy for you, bro. I'm proud of you guys, bro. Like, my best advice for you guys would just be like, just get after it, eh? Like, don't second guess anything. Like, even for you guys to be here now is like, as you said, like it's fucking, who knows who you're gonna interview next? You know what I mean? Like, I'm interviewing Floyd Mayweather in a few months. Like, it's shit like that. It's just like it just goes out one after the other. Like, it's crazy. And like, bro, you guys should be proud of yourself, man, because the mental space, men talking about it, like everyone thinks like, oh fuck, everyone's doing it, but like in the span of how many people are in the country, like not everyone's doing it. You know, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's exciting times for you guys too, man. And who knows, bro? Like, fuck, we could do some more collabs in the future. Yeah, for sure. Get after it.
100%. Would love for you to come and try out one of our events that we do.
Bro, yeah, for sure. I definitely will, man. I've got friends up in Newey.
Yeah. Or even if we come here again, obviously, get enough people around, we'll come.
I'll definitely come up there once I sort out this car situation. But I'll fuck me, holy shit. But yeah.
Any car people listening and need a
shout out to Toyota, fucking Newcastle, man. Love you guys.
I actually know the manager there. I could message him for you.
Yeah, right, mate. Here we go. I don't like mind a Hilux, you know. But up to you guys. I'd take whatever.
I'm not picky.
The Yaris.
Beautiful.
Well, that was sick. Thank you. What you've done for just saying yes to this is like, still
awesome,
massive
boys.
Moments for us. So we greatly appreciate it.
No, likewise, brothers. Honestly, it meant a lot. You guys reaching out to me, so I appreciate it too.
No, thank you for opening up too and being honest and vulnerable and showing this new version of yourself, man. It's fucking good to see. So
thank you guys. Thanks, boys.
All right.
Cheers. Thank you for listening, and talk to you next time.